Good evening, everyone. I'm Jillian Gray with your JCN News for this Thursday, January 25th. Great having you with us. A mother's only son, a teenage girl's father, a construction co-worker, shot dead in an inner-city community last night, leaving police with yet another homicide investigation to solve. Our Anike Archer has more on this story.
Visibly distraught and still fresh on the mind, the murder of Shimiko Mackey, 34-year-old, aka Daddy Meeks. The bloodied handprint, presumably of the victim, still on the walls, coupled with the bullet holes that pierced the tiles and interior of the entranceway of an Irish Spring Court home. The same home where 34-year-old father Shimiko Mackey met his death last night while standing outside. After 10 p.m., two men, one armed with a firearm, exited the car, approached the man, and shot him before hopping back into the vehicle and speeding off. The man died right there on the scene. Community leader Anthony Lightfoot, aka Outlaw.
Fellow what got gunned down last night, Mr. Mackey, the deceased, he was quiet person, not a troublesome person. What you could expect this kind of thing to happen, and this cold-blooded kind of killing what these fellas did last night. And the only thing we could ask for them to have some kind of mercy and turn themselves in.
Mr. Lightfoot was one of several area residents who this morning was still reeling from the tragedy.
This is my real friend. That's one of the last of the dying breed from around here right now.
We lost too many people to stay around on the road. Too much of our friends got killed innocently around here for nothing. People come here, infiltrate our people, and we don't bother no one around here. That boy sits in his house every night. He don't bother no one. This have to be a personal something, and something has to be done fast, because it crippling the area and it making the young ones feel like we are not safe, and we have to retaliate. It making us want to retaliate. Something like this is an innocent person.
It ain't profiting you nothing.
No.
You see, now you wake up this morning, how you feel about it? Think about it. And when you think about what it profits you, this foolishness is negativity. You don't need negative. Be positive.
Mackey, who's known on the streets as Daddy Meeks, is said to be that area's fifth murder in the 4 years. All the victims were young males who were gunned down.
If you don't change the mindset of the young generation, crime level will never stop. The murders will never stop. If you can't get to the youngsters and change their mentality of thinking, a row or falling out with a fella shouldn't result in a murder. And that's, they have no value for life no more. They lost all the value has been lost in this country for life. Life has no value to it anymore. And we got to somehow come together as a nation to restore the value back to life in these young generations.
So far, January has recorded 8 homicides for this year. For JCN News, I'm Anike Archer.
3 men were brought before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt for murder today. 21-year-old Keith Stubbs and Stephen Clark and 19-year-old Alvaro DeVoe were charged with allegedly intentionally causing the death of 50-year-old Craig Trevor Smith, the father of a CDU officer, last Friday, January 19th. For this offense, the trio were not required to enter a plea. Clark was represented by attorney DeVard Williams and DeVoe was represented by attorney Alan Emanuel. The matter was adjourned until March 15th at noon, and the men were remanded to the Bahamas Departments of Corrections until noon on March 15th. Alvaro DeVoe was also arraigned for a second matter. DeVoe was charged with 2 counts of threats of death. On January 18th, it is alleged that DeVoe threatened Randall and Brister with fear of death, and the same day in question, the accused allegedly also threatened Claudicia Gray. The defendant decided to have his matter tried in the magistrate's court. He pleaded not guilty to the 2 counts of threat. His matter will be tried before Magistrate Ambrister on February 19th. Meantime, the man busted with drugs late last evening is scheduled to appear in court. This after intelligence-led officers headed to Talbot Street just before 9 when they spotted the suspect man sitting in a truck acting suspiciously. This, of course, prompted officers to search the suspect and the truck. They found 10 ounces of cocaine. The man was taken into custody. In other news, heightened interest in Grand Bahama, and it's coming from potential investors, particularly of Fortune 500 companies. So says Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis following a 3-day visit to Texas.
They were very keen and had made a commitment that they would travel down to Grand Bahama because Grand Bahama, as you know, had a very successful tech, and they would be more than happy to assist moving forward. We did a video presentation also. They were completely mesmerized as to the potential there and what Grand Bahama has. And they've spoken very positively.
For those of you wondering why Grand Bahama, the Prime Minister says the island has long been ignored and for too long.
I view New Providence, the Bahamas, as an aircraft trying to take off. But we have a headwind, Grand Bahama, and that headwind is preventing the Bahamas from lifting. We have ignored that headwind. Our trust is to resolve that headwind so that the entire Bahamas can now take off smoothly and be successful.
State Minister for Grand Bahama, Kwesi Thompson, is expected to continue discussions with Texas Association of Business as well as other companies, particularly the Texas port.
So we made a commitment that we would ensure that we create all opportunities, especially for our young people who represent the future. And it's essential for us to give them the best and possible educational opportunity that exists. And Texas has several universities and has great educational institutions. And we had very positive discussion with respect to educational opportunities for Bahamians. And I think we would further those discussions with Governor Abbott and his staff.
Now, higher education for Bahamians in Texas universities and technology institutes, also a key talking point when the PM met with Texas Governor Greg Abbott in the Lone State.
Individuals, PhD degrees, individuals who are teaching over there, who are doing research, who are working with Dell, who are working with Silicon, who are working with advanced technology. And they too want to be a part of the growth, development, and expansion of the Bahamian economy and creating jobs and opportunities for our people.
While in Texas, Dr. Minnis met with nearly 300 Bahamians living there who's interested in becoming involved in moving the Bahamas forward. Texas is the #2 economy in the U.S. and #10 in the world. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us. There's more to come.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.